Hey there, gang. Hobbesy here. Just wanted to start the episode off with a few fore notices. First off, there's a little bit of static or something coming through the mic on RJ's end, and there seems to be an issue with the call at times. Cut out what I could as best I could. There might be a rough cut here or there, and I apologize for that. I'm not a professional editor, and this is actually the first thing I've sort of kind of edited outside of musical things. So there's that. And beyond that, just give me some grace, give us some grace. You know, we are new and growing and learning every day. So we'll keep lurking, looking for better methods of doing things, easier ways around things, and just an overall more effective way of getting things done. Beyond that, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy, and it's only going to get better as we go. So take care. Enjoy.
I'm so happy, happy-go-lucky me. I just go my way, living every day. I don't worry.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show. Greetings and welcome to the Hobbesy Horror Screamcast Bros, where I, the titular Hobbesy, and over yonder in the void seas, broadcasting to us live, Captain Arj to Barge. RJ, how you doing today?
Scary people.
Why?
I'm pretty good. You know,
Alright.
if people are watching this, listening, whatever, you know, they're scary people. Come on now.
Scary people. Fair enough, fair enough. I'm doing all right as well, getting into this, the first episode. If you didn't listen to the first episode, that was the first episode, that wasn't the first episode. Yeah, we're here, we're ready to go. And today we are doing Halloween heavy hitter Michael Myers, and we will hopefully do it justice. Hopefully. Anyway, RJ, before we jump into it, we're just gonna have a little chatter, get a feel for things, see how we're doing, talk about maybe some things that are interesting us or on our radar currently. Because I know there's a few things in the future that maybe are lined up, and there are things coming out recently, surprisingly, and also just around the corner. So anything you're looking forward to in particular, RJ?
I mean, I know the one movie you kind of put on my radar was that Abigail, I believe
Abigail,
it's called,
yeah.
which just looks like it could be not only horror, but like action and definitely like some comic relief in it as well. But
Yeah, it
the
looks.
trailers I've seen on it, it does look pretty fun.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. It looks like a pretty fun movie. I don't know if it'll be a good movie, but it'll be a fun as hell movie.
I mean, it could be a good bad movie, you know, like
I'm still not
good bad movies are the best.
Yes, the worst, best worst. Worst is almost a delicious sausage. But yeah, that looks fun. I'm still not entirely clear on the premise of that one. I like it. When I first saw a trailer, I thought it was like a heist movie with a vampire, and now I'm not so sure it was a heist movie. I'm not sure where we
Kind of
stand
what
on
it
it,
looks
but
like.
it kind of looks
Kind
like
of,
a heist
yeah.
movie. But yeah,
And they just didn't know what they were getting into. They're like, oh shit, there's a little girl. Oh shit,
oh shit, it's a
the girl's a
vampire.
vampire.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, Abigail. You mentioned that the second Winnie the Pooh horror feature film came out already, or is coming out.
Yeah,
What was the read on that?
Apparently it's already out. It came out in March, and I'm like, so it was a UK, I guess, like, you know, England full release, and then a limited release here. I cannot find it anywhere, and I'm very upset about it. So if anybody's watching this in the future and will comment where I can watch this, I would be very, very grateful.
Where is it?
Exactly.
Where
I'd be
is it?
very, I'd be very grateful if somebody could point me in a direction.
We're going to have to hunt it down. Yeah, that on top of that, it is apparently also the season for demonic children, with the first
Yes.
Omen set to come out. That's what, April, maybe, possibly. Oh shit, we're past April. Oh god, maybe it's already
Yeah, I
out.
was gonna
I
say
don't
we're
know.
definitely
I've
past April.
I've definitely lost track of time over the last, how many months of the year are we into now? 5, 4, over 5? Yeah, that many. Um, but yeah, the first Omen, which looks pretty rad. I'll take a prequel to the Omen series of films. And also Immaculate, which no fucking clue about it. But
Yeah, you
more
kind
demon
of told me
children, I'm
that
down
one a
for it.
little bit, yeah.
Right? Oh, we're having Antichrist
And
babies, sign me up. Um,
and let's not forget, got moved up to October 19th, I believe. 19th or 13th, one or the other. Terrifier 3
yeah,
is
Terrifier
coming
3.
out.
Yes.
And it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely our cup of tea.
Rad bit of controversy off the trailer with that, where
Oh,
a lot of people got real upset about the implication of a child getting possibly Art the Clown. Um, exciting. We love it. Um,
if children are, like not allowed, then who is? I mean, come on.
if you're allowed to kill a dog, you're allowed to kill a child. We don't
I mean,
endorse this.
you
It's not a, well,
definitely worded that way better than I did.
if we're allowed to kill a dog, we're allowed
Yeah,
to kill a child. Get over it. Um,
in movies, not real
in
life.
movies, period. Wow. Good save. Good save.
Not endorsing.
There's another FBI watch list. Uh, sponsorship is not endorsement. I don't know if that applies to this. Maybe not. I'm gonna stop digging holes. Uh, but yeah, it seems like it's gonna be a good movie season. FNAF is gonna be next year. FNAF 2 will be next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's next year. They're aiming for next year to release that.
Very rad. So we've got things to look forward to in the coming year, and I mean, I'm sure more in the coming years ahead. But yeah, pretty rad. Not sure what's going on the filmscape. Other than that, need to dig in a little bit deeper, and maybe also need to dig into some streaming services and have a look at what's on offer there as well. Become more culturally engrossed in the thing I love. Yeah. Other than that, you brought to point a local horror convention that apparently comes around twice a year, and I didn't know that. That's
I don't do that either.
could definitely be a cool thing in the future that I would love to get into and do, because we already do the Comic-Con set. Yeah, that's pretty rad. I mean, but yeah, so it could be a good year for horror. We'll see. And as we continue going on, we'll keep reporting on any new news we come across. It's new news to us, maybe not to you, but definitely to us. Also, if you have any suggestions, any ideas, questions, concerns, any films you think we should watch, any films you have on suggestion, or any film news for things coming out that you'd like us to talk about that we can look into, definitely, for sure. Check us out on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Hobbesy Horror, as well as, where the hell else are we? Blue Sky, something the same, at Hobbesy Horror, their little string of stuff. And we also have an IGN Threads at Hobbesy Horror. We'll see about getting stuff on that eventually. But yes, beyond that, you can also email us at hobbsyhorror@gmail.com. And I think that's everywhere you can reach us right now. So yeah, love to look into some new things, love to look into some old things, love to just chat with anybody who wants to chat. That'd be pretty rad. But other than that, I don't know. How you feeling? Feeling good? think we can go ahead.
We're doing good. I think we can move on to today's topic.
Radical as shit. And today's topic being 1978's Halloween, directed by John Carpenter and written by Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Commonly credited with creating the slasher film as we know today, setting down those foundations. Blinking really quickly. Setting down the foundations. There's some controversy against that, however. I mean, points before with the proto slasher, as it might have been, Texas Chainsaw and whatnot, that did come out before it. And we talked about where we fell on that side of the line, on that side of the controversy. Was it the first horror slasher film? Did it set the groundwork for others?
I mean, I feel like movies that came out after Halloween, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, all those like slashers followed more the Halloween route opposed to Texas Chainsaw. But I know you mentioned a few, this off air obviously, but you mentioned a few other movies that came out before Halloween that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
I feel like more slasher films followed the Halloween route more than Texas Chainsaw, just because it's more like a solo killer slash stalker kind of thing. I know Chucky got into more, like voodoo stuff and putting himself in a doll sort of thing, but he's still more like the solo killer slash stalker and,
I think
getting people alone and all that jazz.
right. I was thinking on it, and I think what really separates Halloween as a slasher versus like Texas Chainsaw or Black Christmas, which I mean Black Christmas was definitely foundational for the slasher genre. Texas Chainsaw, I can definitely see the difference between the two styles of film and everything, but you can see the influence that comes from previous film in it as well. But the thing I think that separates it is more on the end of maybe also adding in the supernatural flair. I can't really speak for can't speak for Silent Night, Deadly Night. I know nothing about that film. I have no fucking idea. But as far as wait, yeah, no, didn't bring that one up. Because I have no fucking idea about it. But Black Christmas, I mean, it's very human. But Black Christmas, it was very human. I think Halloween, Texas Chainsaw was very human. But I feel Halloween gave it more of the supernatural effect because we have Myers, who's this unstoppable machine, this unkillable force who gets stabbed in the neck, who gets stabbed in the chest, who gets poked in the eye with a hanger, who gets shot repeatedly out of a fucking window and still rises and fucking Houdini's it. To have the last laugh, quote unquote.
I feel like Halloween didn't really go into that like supernatural realm until the gunshots, to be honest with you, because like when he gets stabbed in the neck with a needle, I could still see somebody like, especially somebody his size and probably not all there, emotionally and all that stuff, maybe like kind of shrugging it off a little bit and then continuing on. Obviously I've never been stabbed in the neck with a needle before, but I could still see how that could happen. But like when you take 6 gunshots to the chest or 5, however many it was, don't quote me on it, and falling out of a second-story window, that I can, all right, I don't think he's getting up after that one.
Yeah, right. I mean, like Fitty took a lot of bullets, but I don't think he fell off a balcony while doing it.
Exactly.
That could have been a thing that took him out. You never know. It's crazy. But
maybe 50 is just the reincarnation of Michael Myers. Who knows?
Who knows? But no, we had talked about it during the viewing. By the way, in the works ideas, watch-alongs, if people would love to come and watch and listen to us have our commentary over a film as it plays. Hey, that would be a really great thing, but we have to pay a wallet. We'll talk about that later. Back to, yes, I think we had some commentary, some dialogue while we were watching the film. The way Myers collapses and Laurie just kind of overlooks it and assumes it's over. Like, lady, you stabbed him with a knitting needle.
Like,
He's a
3
tank,
different times
madam.
it was.
Right?
I
Oh,
think it was like 3 different times.
you poked
Oh,
him in
you
the eye
stabbed
with
him
a hanger
in
and
the
then
neck. Oh, yeah.
stabbed him in the gut. Yeah, he's a tank. What are you doing? Yeah, no, that it you wouldn't know the supernatural thing other than the fact that he's David Copperfielding all over the place the whole movie, being an absolute scamp. You wouldn't get that supernatural element until the reveal that, oh, hey, he's not on the ground. Which, spoiler, if you haven't seen 1978's Halloween for some fucking reason in 2024, Myers doesn't die. But yeah, I think
But
that
at this
is
point, since there's so many more movies after the first one.
right. And I feel like that's something that kind of became a slasher staple, because then you have Jason Voorhees, who is maybe a Deadite. I don't know what the full lore is on it at this point. But this undead, tortured soul, back to murder. Well, not in the first one. It was his mother, and she was bad. Whatever. But further Jasons would be like this undead, tormented soul or whatever. Freddy was a man who made a deal with dream demons in the end. Chucky had his voodoo. Scream didn't do any supernatural, but Scream paid a lot of homage and gave a lot of nods to not just Halloween, but many a horror great. But yeah, I feel like that's maybe one of the main separators. We went on a big tangent now. I think we completely sidetracked, and I'm really sorry about that. But so yeah,
Sure, we could do whatever.
boiling it down, TLDR, semicolon, whatever. You're sitting on it is Halloween is the blueprint for the modern slasher, period. Dot. No. Give.
Yeah,
Or
I would say so, just because it is the more. Not saying obviously Texas Chainsaw has its popularity and its following and all that stuff. I feel like Halloween had the bigger following, so like more movies geared towards that side of slasher film rather than Texas Chainsaw, to be honest. But that's just how I've always seen it.
possibly more films, and also, well, no, more films, and also possibly more films that didn't suck than Texas Chainsaw. But yeah, no, I am inclined to agree that it took from the proto slasher and horror before, certainly, and established a foundation with its own rules and its own tropes that definitely bled over into the down the line of the genre. But yeah, no. But I definitely got to give earlier films with the elements credit for being, the proto slashers, the things that created the foundation that the crust was built on. Yeah, that's about it. Think we're about the same place there. But yeah, that completely sidetracked me. Anyway, back to what I was saying way before I went on a big tangent and fucked everything off. Also, fun fact about it. In 2006, it was chosen for preservation with the U.S. National Film Registry for its cultural, historical, or aesthetic significance, which is really rad that it was seen as such an important piece of maybe American cinema and American cinema culture, that it was chosen for such an honor. That's pretty cool. That'll be held until the great solar flares that knock everything out and send us back to the Stone Ages, I'm sure. Beyond
Which is actually interesting, because I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did not know that happened.
Fun facts. Yeah, that was back in 2006. More things that are interesting to me is the fact that even just getting to this point of a quote unquote slasher film and what Halloween was and became, just going back to the black and white age of cinema, horror always had an element in it. And I mean, even beyond that, centuries back, like true crime had a real bubbling interest, where people just ate that shit up. So it's kind of surprising to me that it took kind of getting into fictitious killers so long, even going back to like 1972 or whatever with like Black Christmas and whatnot, that it took so long to get to the point of a slasher in film. That's just really surprising to me. I don't really know if there was a reason for that or if it was like a social, just kind of a social thing at the time or whatever. Yeah, 70s were a wild time for horror, and really glad for it. But beyond that, anything else you have to add in that department?
No, not really, because like I said, most of the stuff the honor I got in 2006, I didn't even know about. I'm learning along with the audience right now.
Fun times, fun times. All right. So anyway, produced as well by Hill and starring future first Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis in the lead role of Laurie Strode, as well as Donald Pleasence as Dr. Samuel Lewis, with Will Sandon premiering the role of a 6-year-old Michael Myers, Nick Castle carrying the bulk of the role, Nick Castle being a good friend of Carpenter at the time. They had worked on some other film and whatnot together. And then Tony Moran bringing up the caboose of the murder train as the unmasked Myers in the end there, which fantastic. Also another fun fact, the ages for young Myers and unmasked Myers were incorrectly labeled in the credits. I think you had a couple of things.
Yeah, just about the cast.
Yeah.
So Jamie Lee Curtis ended up getting the lead role because of her mom, actually. Since the movie had such a low budget, her mom famously was in Psycho. Janet Leigh was in the original Psycho movie, and so they thought, well, if we cast her daughter, low budget, we don't have to, shell out as much for like a already proven actress. We can give her her start. She can still, bring in, the more of a, I guess, more people to more views and all that stuff because, of who her mom was. And then actually not so much on the cast, but on the setting, Haddonfield, Illinois, which is where the movie takes place, is not actually in Illinois. It's a town in New Jersey that was actually the hometown of Deborah Hill, who was one of the writers with John Carpenter on the movie, which I found very, very interesting.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah. World's full of them.
Right? More fun facts concerning the casting. Dr. Loomis was originally intended for Peter Cushing. That would have been an interesting one, as he had just come off the role of Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars. That would have been a fun little connection. Apparently Christopher Lee was also approached for the role, which would have been badass as hell. I would have loved a Lee Loomis. Beyond that, there was I think they were looking for someone else for the lead role that Jamie Lee Curtis ended up taking. That's it, Anne Lockhart, who was apparently the daughter of June Lockhart from Lassie. More fun facts on the casting there, but yeah, good stuff. The whole Haddonfield, Illinois, being fictional and based off of Haddonfield, New Jersey, is kind of fun. And then the film was filmed. The movie was filmed. Was it filmed in, I think, South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken? So
South Carolina.
Yeah, I believe so. So they're just kind of all over the place with little Haddonfield. I would love to visit the house one day. They actually moved the house from its original location and preserved it in another location. I'd love to visit that one day. That'd be really rad.
Okay, cool little trip.
Oh yeah. Maybe one day road trip. Who knows? But yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, it was a really small production. Carpenter Hill worked multiple roles. That was great. Carpenter himself also creating the iconic score for the film, which you hear constantly throughout the film. I think there's maybe 2 times that they don't play the primary score, but they make good use of it. They definitely make good use of that piano. Beyond that, the film costed somewhere between $300,000 and $325,000 to produce. It ended up bringing in over a combined $70 million at the global box office, and placing it currently at the 2,406th position on the all-time worldwide box office and 691st on the all-time worldwide for R-rated films. On top of that, I couldn't get a metric for where it sits as far as rankings among other horror films go, outside of 1.5 million opinion piece listicles. And while this is a show for opinions, it's a show for our opinions, and we only really care about that, and that's all you should care about too, listener. Trust me.
One in the hearts, number one in the hearts.
Right. Precisely.
And then,
And yeah. Anything else there?
yeah, just kind of going off that, a few more little tidbits on the production of the movie. So the original screenplay for the movie took only 2 weeks to write, which I actually found not very surprising. Because it's not a long movie, but still only 2 weeks to write a movie. Pretty impressive.
That's impressive.
And then on top of that, it only took 22 days to film. Literally 2 weeks to write, 3 weeks and a day to film, because they wanted the movie to come out before the actual day of Halloween, because why have the movie Halloween come out after Halloween?
Right.
It makes a ton of sense, but still, that is pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive that they just sat down, got it written, got it pumped out. And that was the original screenplay for it. So that was like was that from draft, do you know? Or was that
I don't know, to be honest.
straight through draft, right into final cut?
I don't know. It just said the original screenplay, so I'm gonna assume it's from the original draft.
All the way, you're right. I was
Yeah,
just wondering.
I'm sure there were like rewrites and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah,
like in
of course.
between and all that. But I just thought that was pretty impressive that you can write a screenplay that quickly. Because I don't know, it just seems, especially depending on I could see like maybe an episode being written in that amount of time, but a whole movie.
Right.
That's great. That is very impressive.
It is. They definitely speed ran it. And they did a great job. I'm gonna say maybe you can tell a little bit. And we'll talk about later as well. I have some notes on sound choices, but
yeah.
But no, to pump out the score, to go through the screenplay into production, get the filming knocked out, go into post-production, and have it out before Halloween of the year that the film takes place in as well, which fantastic. Just a really incredible feat. And then also, I mean, for how much it cost to produce, being a low budget film at the time, it definitely made its money back and then some. Like it for sure took off in a way that maybe Carpenter wasn't expecting. I didn't grab any quotes about his reaction to it, but it's really an impressive feat, and that's definitely what sets it up as one of the greats for sure. Yeah. Anyway, I think we can leave production. I think we're done with production for the most part at this point. Any other notes that might come across or think of while we're going through, we can pop back and talk about it, either or whatever. But I guess we can go ahead and run our trailer. Audience, you will listen to the trailer. You won't see what we're seeing, and that's a-okay too. Just enjoy the sound. I should also probably check the audio on that. I think it's solid. That is what sound checks are
Halloween
for.
night,
That's Sting, though.
a small American town, 15 years ago.
They didn't pull any punches in the ad either.
I think it's because I've never seen the trailer for Halloween, like the original Halloween.
Oh, you've never
It's
seen
just
the...
funny seeing. I've never seen the trailer for the original Halloween. It's just funny seeing a trailer for a 1970s film and seeing trailers for movies now. Ooh,
Right.
there's a huge difference.
Big difference.
But yeah, because I mean, you know, because literally watching this trailer just before we started recording, I was like, they're showing the majority of the movie in, you know, what, 2.5 minute, you know, trailer.
Uncharted territory. Totally charted. Just talk. Sure. The only reason she
Sure.
Halloween.
That scene though is definitely one of my favorites. It just shows up in the sheet.
It's wild. This trailer gives away every iconic part of the film.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no teasers, no nothing. They're practically showing.
Right? It's like, here's the fucking movie. Here's...
one movie, you know, an hour and a half movie, you know, shortened to 2.5 minutes.
Right? Hey, you want to know Halloween? Bam, Halloween.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Just the drastic difference between a 1970s trailer and a, you know, trailer that comes out nowadays.
Modern trailer where it's like, what
different.
the hell did I just watch? What is this movie?
Yeah, exactly. Like we were talking about Abigail earlier.
Is
like,
this a heist film?
Heist movie? Is it a kidnapping movie? Is it? What is this?
Run, Laurie! One of the best notes. One of the best notes.
Halloween.
Oh yeah,
That
the
fucking door.
Came home.
There's no doorknob on the outside.
And there we have it. Halloween 1978, the trailer. So your first time seeing it was today. I don't know how the audio is going to come through on that. It should be balanced, but I couldn't hear you with how loud this fucker was on my side. I could hear you for the most part. But yeah, that was the trailer. So you hadn't seen the trailer until today? Is what you're saying. That's rad.
Yes.
Fun trailer.
Had no
Subtlety. No subtlety.
Doesn't even like give you you know, like a little tease or anything. It's just, here's the movie.
Iconic screen grab exposition. Iconic screen grab. Yeah, that is pretty much just speed running Halloween. If you wanna know what Halloween is, just go watch the trailer. You'll get about the same from it, just in a very condensed form. Good trailer though. Like, if I saw that trailer back in 1978, I'd be like, I'm going to watch this fucking movie. There's no way I'm not going to watch this movie.
I think that was like one of the first things when we were watching the film together. Like, what I said is like, just because obviously, you know, this movie is older than what we are.
Yeah.
But like, just being in, like, just being alive back then when this movie was first coming out, and just being able to experience it, not knowing that genre of film,
Right.
and watching it for the first time in 1978, just like, I wonder if how much differently I would feel about the movie back then as opposed to the first time I've seen it when I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8, something like that.
Like, would you be able to recognize the greatness without all the years of run up that you have?
Would
at
I
this
even
point?
like it?
Right.
You know, like, would I even like it not being, you know, not being desensitized as I am now from watching all the horror movies I've seen in my life? You know, it's just
you have a fair
it
few
could have
horror.
completely changed my mindset on horror movies. You never know.
That's very true. That could have been a life altering moment right there. One way or
Exactly.
another.
Good thing I wasn't. It's a good thing that didn't happen.
Right? It could have been the best thing in the world. It could have completely destroyed any hope of you falling in love with horror. I don't know what that was. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Um, but yeah, that fun trailer gives away everything. But fun trailer. A couple more things, I guess. We in supporting roles, I completely missed this in production and casting, but in supporting roles, we had PJ Souls and Nancy Loomis playing Linda and Anna. PJ Souls, actually a semi-horror film alumni. I guess she was kind of in the circle back then, though she didn't end up doing very much. But she started in a previous role. I have already forgotten what the role was. She might have been in Black Christmas, maybe, possibly.
I have no clue, to be honest with you.
It's escaping me right now. I don't know. Somebody tell me, because I'm an idiot. Remember, we have socials and an email at Hobbesy Horror everywhere. But yeah, she had been in the circles, even though she was a lesser known actress and hadn't really done much at the time. But yeah, fun stuff. We can go ahead and do the synopsis, and we can go ahead and we can start just going through this film scene by scene and talking about our notes, anything fun that we might have come up with, things that we appreciated about it. And after that, we'll go into our singular segment because we only have one, and that's fine. So yeah, let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. There we go. Starts off, let's see. Halloween begins on October 31st, 1963, where a 6-year-old Michael Myers would murder his older sister behind the mask of a clown. 15 years later, he escapes institutionalization and returns to his hometown to not specifically, but ultimately, terrorize all-American good girl Laurie Strode. And that is where we begin. Michael. I had notes right off the bat about this film in the first scene. I completely lost. There we go. That's what I need. Did anything strike you immediately off the bat coming into this film?
Well, I guess like one of the things that you kind of opened my eyes to after, I lost count how many times I've seen this movie. And the one thing that always bugged me was, okay, because I know not in the first movie, they don't specifically say Laurie is Michael Myers' younger sister. Like, nobody knows that in the first movie. Like, it later comes out, I believe, in the second movie, where you find out she is the younger sister of Michael Myers. But I guess I just always went into that movie because all the movies have already come out by the time I was born. I just went into that movie just somehow he just knew that was his younger sister. But then you pointed out to me when she drops off the key to his old, his childhood home, he sees her, and that's when he starts stalking her. And I'm like, holy shit, how did I not?
Right.
I just went in that movie, went into the movie like already with preconceived notions that he just knew that was his sister somehow. But I'm like, it never explains how he knew, but I guess he didn't even know because, it just happens he was in the home when she's dropping off the key because her dad is showing off the house to potential buyers and all that. And then that's wrong time, wrong place kind of situation. And I just never thought about it that way. I just assumed he knew that was his sister the whole time.
Right. We'll get more into that a little bit down the line once we get to that point, because I got some stuff to say about that too. But yeah, that's I had wondered that myself because I didn't think they'd ever explicitly said it in the first film. Like I didn't even think it was like hinted at in the first film. The whole sibling relation thing, yada yada. So, but I think it happens in the Rob Zombie film. That comes out a lot earlier.
But in the original series, I believe it comes out in the second one, I want to say.
Oh, right. I mean, we'll get there. We'll get there. Trust that, dear listener. I almost said viewer, but listener, because this is an audio medium. We'll get there. But yeah, okay. Brain. Hopping back. I I said we're starting on Myers, 6-year-old Myers, yada yada. I'm going even further back actually to the opening credits where immediately we are hit with the iconic score. It comes immediately into play. It hits you in the face. It's very strong. It's very sharp. And it is that is a tune that was my alarm for a long time. Could definitely listen to a 10-hour loop of it and just not tire, I think.
Same.
Yeah, right. But that was my first note, was just epic, iconic piano. Carpenter hit it out of the fucking ballpark with that. And yeah, just those opening credits. It's very simple, but the jack-o'-lantern sitting to the side, through the whole process, is very simple opening sequence, but it was very powerful, and the score definitely made it, I think. But now we'll go to young Myers. We don't actually see Myers initially. We just have that first person POV perspective, wandering outside the house, looking inside the house at one Judith Myers and her boyfriend in the middle of some making out on the couch. Immediately bad babysitting.
He does have the higher priorities. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Boyfriend on the couch.
Boyfriend on the couch is a much higher priority than your little brother wandering around outside somewhere. And clearly, I pointed this out. Trick or treating was over. Michael's clown mask was inside the house because douchebag boyfriend holds it up to his face. So literally, just small child out wandering in the pitch black. Bad babysitting. Had it coming. Some really great shots here, just of the outside of the house, making the motions around, going up and through the back door, and collecting that knife from the drawer and seeing the child arm for the first time. Now, if we didn't know the film and hadn't seen the trailer, that gives it all away.
You don't know whose perspective it is, and I actually thought that was really, really cool way to open the movie, like, because you don't know, is it actually someone looking in, and then when you find
right,
reach
like,
for that knife, and then you're like, oh, this is a child.
right, like at this point you don't know it's a child, you only know it as the shape, this dark entity that is lurking. But yes, going through that whole opening, Michael comes through the house. Boyfriend is already on his way down the stairs. Michael was not outside the house that long, and he came in relatively quick and grabbed that knife. Homie's a two-pump chump. He just pump dumped and got up and left. And I feel real bad for Judith for her life decisions, because she's making some bad ones right now. And that man is not
high school hormones, man. School hormones.
That man is not marriage material.
You're
poor
looking for
Judith.
a good time, not wrong time.
I will say this: maybe it's good she died. Michael saved her from a potential, unwanted pregnancy and being tied to someone who peaked in high school and, I don't know, sells used automobiles for the rest of his life. And maybe it's a good thing. But yes, Michael comes up the stairs to Judith's room, picks up his mask off the floor, and proceeds to approach his sister from behind. Another thing we determined: no one in this film has peripheral. Nobody can see just off to the side themselves.
I guess Lori would be about the only one, but that's later in the movie. But hers isn't great though either.
It's not great. She's the only one. But yes, comes up behind his sister. She finally notices him. Whack, whack, whack. He repeatedly stabs her in what appears to be the lap. But she is also very clearly bleeding from her bare chest, which was an interesting
her
inclusion.
Down leg, and then goes up, whatever.
Gave it a sensual smear on the way up.
Exactly.
She did not go cross-eyed when she died. I will give her that. After that, Michael travels downstairs, or the shape, whatever you want to refer to him as, down the stairs, out his front door and into his front yard as his parents are pulling up. Cue another fucking iconic scene. which is also shown in the trailer, of course. That pan back of Michael holding the knife, his parents standing on either side of him, and the stillness of that scene is incredible. That might be my favorite scene in the whole film, just aesthetically, I'd say. But that is the wrap up of Michael's childhood on that. Do you have anything else to add to that scene before we move on?
Well, I mean, yeah, that scene is just it's like, when they take the clown, his parents take the clown mask off of him, and then it just seems I don't know if it's like a confusion or just no emotion whatsoever on what he had to be, 8, 9, 10.
6 years old.
It was 6. Oh wow, I
Yeah,
was thinking way
6-year-old
older.
Michael.
Yeah, so just like the pure like non-emotion on his face of what he just did, and his parents just standing there staring at him with a bloody knife and
It is a weird,
no
awkward
emotion.
moment. Yeah, because his
Yeah,
parents don't seem to show any real like emotion either. Like you get a sense of shock from it, but otherwise it's just like there just seems to be an air of confusion amongst the group.
exactly.
But yeah, and then his dad takes that one step back essentially, and then just all parties in the frame are frozen. The only movement you can really see, like I pointed out while we were watching, is like the glint off of the knife as like it slightly moves in his hand. Yeah, it's just a really great scene, I feel. But but yeah, Michael kills his sister, and then we make a jump 15 years later to the night before Halloween, where Dr. Samuel Loomis and oh shit, Marion Chambers, Marion Chambers, they're on their way to the sanitarium where Michael is being held. And I had a couple things that I didn't realize would get answered for me as we went, being the matches and whatnot. But this is our first small bit of exposition about Michael from Loomis. Not the big grandstanding exposition that we get later to bracket, but our first kind of conversations about Michael from the man who I guess knows him best at this point. Loomis seems very disconnected in the scene, and I don't know if that is an acting choice or if he was meant to be in order to kind of convey a weariness of knowledge, of knowing Myers, of knowing his evil, while people around him still continue to kind of question him, or not take. I was gonna say not take.
I was just gonna say, like, throughout the whole movie, he keeps trying to tell people how dangerous he is, and
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
behind. Everyone's just like, "Yeah, you've been his doctor for this long, but what do you know?"
Right.
Kind of stance, and I'm just like, he is literally the only person who knows of the person besides, the doctors and nurses inside the facility. I think you should take his word for it, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like he is the most intimately familiar with Michael Myers, and yet it seems like nobody takes him seriously. Nobody takes what he says as like gospel, even though he's probably the only person who has any level of depthful knowledge about this fucking enigma that they have stored in a box. It's wild, and like I said, I don't know if that is an acting choice on the part of Pleasance, or if that was written into the film to just be like very disconnected and dismissive of people who, or of his assistant. But yeah, just really disconnected, and then I completely forget her line, but he follows up with, "If you say so." And it's just like, Loomis is kind of a dick, but it's kind of an earned dickishness, And I know you mentioned that the Rob Zombie flicks, he is played up more pompous to be more of a pompous
Yes.
asshole and whatnot.
Such a pompous ass.
I feel like there's kind of some element to that, just because he is the only person who has this fucking intimate knowledge of Myers, so he would have that superiority, and I don't know that we necessarily get to see it played on here, but his certainty definitely comes out further down. But right now he just seems disconnected. They approach the sanitarium. It's storming. The nurse is chain smoking for some reason. And we get the view of the, oh hell, I deleted what it was because it was answered later. But we got our nice little
Match, the match booklet.
Our little smoking gun of a match booklet for the red something.
Yeah.
Red Rabbit,
Red
I think
Rabbit,
it might have been.
wasn't it?
Yeah, the Red Rabbit.
Yeah. Rabbit and Red Lounge. That's
The
what it
Rabbit
was.
Red Lounge. Thank you. Yeah, we get a little focus on that, indicating that, hey, this is going to be important later. But we pull up on the facility, and all the residents, patients, not sure what to call them, are wandering the yard. This is a concerning thing, and this is the first show of Loomis actually having emotions, where he is an impatient, kind of an asshat.
Freak out like, well, if they're out here, who else is out here?
Shouldn't we? Hold on. You got it, doctor. Loomis leaves Marion in the car as he goes to investigate, and that is when Michael scurries over the back windshield and on top of the car to the most sci-fi laser noise I've ever heard in my life.
Laser noise.
What was that?
Greatest laser noise, just because it made you make a comment on it.
There were choices made, and some of the sound engineering of this film, and I'm not saying I hate it, I'm just saying they maybe don't fit the tone of the movie. But I do love the fact that maybe they do fit the tone of the movie, because it's kind of that slapstick, funny, haha wackiness, and we get a lot of Michael being a scamp in it, in this first kind of scampering over the top of the vehicle to break in and eventually steal it after terrifying the hell out of Marion.
Yeah.
What was that?
I was just saying the nurse. I couldn't think of her name.
Yes, Marion Chambers. I know it's always on the tip of my tongue, and it takes a moment to get out. He jumps in he gets her out as she gets out of the car after he grabs her hair, pulls her hair, and she drives around willy-nilly. And Michael immediately hops off the roof and jumps into the car. I also had I don't know if it's a camera cut that's just really sloppily done, but when he breaks the window, I swear there's just like a very noticeable cut, but it may just be the way it picked up on the film. But yes, jumps in the car, takes off. The obligatory comment, Myers can drive, since he's been locked in the sanitarium for 15 years.
Being institutionalized since he was 6 years old, and somehow he gets in the car and knows exactly how to.
Oh yeah, drives like a
Because
fucking
I'm sure
pro.
I'm sure back then they didn't have too many automatics. I'm sure it was a stick shift.
There's a
he
good.
knows how to drive it.
Somebody taught Mans how to drive a stick shift.
I want to know what after medication programs they have in that institution.
Yeah, right. What are you teaching these patients? Clearly not knitting, but maybe driving 101 is on the course list. But yes, anyway, he makes his escape and begins his trek homebound back to Haddonfield. Jump. Next scene. I don't know if we had anything else you wanted to say about that scene. It's a great scene. We get our grand exposition. We get our opening exposition of Myers. Beyond that, it's not a lot, except just for that opening exposition and that vehicle for Myers escapes to Myers now stalking Haddonfield. I hope I didn't cut you off. I'm really sorry if I did.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, I don't know if you have anything else on that. If not, we can move along. Next scene.
I think we covered that first part.
Yeah, Brad. We'll probably just start speeding through some things because it becomes a lot of filler. Just kind of escalating our way towards the murder. But October 31st, 1978. Haddonfield, 17-year-old Laurie Strode, played by darling Jamie Lee Curtis, as said, gets caught by her dad on her way to, is it to school? Might be to school.
Yes.
But yes, given a key and told to drop it by the old Myers place. The Myers place has stood abandoned for 15 years now, I suppose. I don't know if there's any say when the family moved out. I believe in the further films it's referenced that the mother committed suicide or whatever. I don't know if it says what happens to the father. But it's been abandoned for a while, and it definitely shows. I don't know who the hell he's selling it to, but I probably wouldn't buy it in the condition it's in. Drops off the key. What's that?
Probably not the greatest back then. The housing market was probably not the greatest back then.
Yeah,
So you're
maybe.
just buying anything and everything.
Maybe, I don't know. I am not a 1970s realtor. Maybe in a past life. But yes, Laurie walking with Tommy to school. Her dad makes her take a key, drop it off at the Myers place. Yada yada. I don't know if I took any notes for that. My notes get kind of weird and vague.
Yeah, well, I kind of already discussed that part. You know, the whole time he's in the house, sees her, drops it off, then that's where he's stalking her from then on.
Right.
Because I was
right.
under the assumption he knew, you know, that was his sister, even though it was never actually said in the first film that is his younger sister.
Right. That's right. Yeah, the destined meeting of Myers and Laurie, as he is returned home, and views her dropping the key off on the porch along with little Tommy. Pardon me, mouth's getting dry. Along with Tommy. And that kind of sets it off. I feel like that's the fated meeting that he sees her as connected to his home. As it's not established yet that there's any familial tie. Later that day, Laurie is in class. I don't think did I skip too far? Oh, I skipped too far.
Oh yeah, when Loomis is on the trail and he sees the wrecked truck. And then that's where we see the little red matchbook that the nurse Marion was using, and they were together. That's how he knew he was on the right trail.
Right, our little smoking
behind
gun.
Mike. Yeah, and then the camera kind of fades over to the side, and you see the person who was driving the truck dead in a pile of hay, and then
that wasn't yet actually.
Second kill.
That wasn't yet,
was it not?
actually.
Yeah.
No. First, he has the whole scene talking with the doctor about Michael escaping and why he needs to get his ass back in the building and do his damn job. Yeah, there's that whole thing that happens. Yes, Loomis taking control while, again, people continue to question his authority on the subject. Yeah, he hasn't even left for Haddonfield yet, but he is going to be. Dr. Wynn doesn't think Michael could drive to Haddonfield and blames Loomis for not warning the staff of the potential threat of Myers. Like, what did you think you were housing in this facility? Like, who did you think you kept in this little box? I don't understand. But there's a lot of blame on Loomis, and that it comes up again later. I think Brackett blames Loomis for this shit, and it's like, why is everybody blaming? He wasn't even in the building. But yes, then we go through yada yada. We're at Haddonfield Elementary. Bell rings. The children are leaving, and Tommy is getting bullied by these asshole kids while he's carrying a way too big pumpkin. And I think this might be the only time I feel any sympathy for Tommy, is just because school bullies. Everything else is just a wrong place, wrong time thing. Can't be helped. But yes, gets bullied, drops his pumpkin, poor kid. And we move on to Laurie sitting in her English class discussing philosophy where Myers appears outside the window, staring across the street. Does he have the car at this point?
Yes.
Okay, he
Yeah,
does.
he was standing right in front, right next to the car.
Okay, yeah, so he was standing by the car. And this is the first instance of me writing Michael Copperfield in my notes. The first in a long series of me writing Michael Copperfield.
Every movie has that where somebody's standing there staring, and then a bus, truck, whatever drives by, then they're gone. I don't know if Halloween was the first movie to ever do that, but every movie does that now.
Every movie does that, of course, but Mikey does it every time.
Well, yeah,
Every time.
That's why I'm assuming. That's why I'm assuming Halloween is the birth of whatever you call that.
We see Michael Myers walking on his own 2 feet maybe twice in the movie, and any other time he's standing and then he's missing.
Yeah.
It's a primary form of travel for this man. I don't understand why he even bothers walking the couple times he does. But yes, first instance of Michael Copperfield. And yeah, I don't know if it was significant. Maybe it was significant to the underlying threads of the story, but they are discussing destiny, fate, and determination philosophies in the class at the time, which I think is kind of interesting. I also think, yeah, I got those scenes out of order as well. Laurie comes before Tommy getting bullied. But as he's going, the bullies, Tommy falls, the bullies laugh, they run, and one of them runs into a jumpsuit clad Michael Myers, who lets him go, and then proceeds to drive off after watching Tommy for a little bit. Next, we come up and Loomis is on the way to Haddonfield. He's pulled over. He makes a phone call. Frustrated, hangs up, and then he notices a tow truck. Parked is the loose term I'll give it. Off in the side in the tall reeds of the alleged Midwest. And here we find the smoking gun of the Red Lounge, Rabbit and Red Lounge matchbook. And the unclothed body of the tow truck driver lying in the grass. This marks our second kill of the film. Even though we didn't see the kill happen, there is a corpse, so we'll count the body. And yeah, Loomis knows he's on the right track. Meanwhile, we flash back to the students. I don't know if we had any notes for that, because the only thing I had was the red rabbit, or Rabbit in Red, and I think I got rid of it.
It was just basically it was just pointing out to Dr. Loomis that he was definitely going back to his hometown.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Loomis on the case. Going back, everybody gets out of school. Laura's walking. Linda is with her, PJ Souls. And eventually Annie shows up as well. We get the first mention, I think we get the first mention of Tramer here, but I could be wrong. Notes that I have here. Annie is a twat. I don't like Annie at all.
Oh,
She
I don't
is.
think you're supposed to.
No, she is a rude little shithead, and sucks for her down the line. But I think that is my only note right there. Is just Annie is a twat. But yes, we get them chatting, their plans, yada yada. They come around. I believe Linda dips off, and it's just Annie and Laurie walking, and this is where we get Michael by a bush. And another Michael Copperfield moment where Annie looks up and does not see him, because by the time she looks, he's already disappeared behind the bush. And we have another Michael effing Copperfield. As we approach, turn the corner, and he is gone. He would have had to have run really fast to get out of there, because they didn't wait very long for it. Again, and Annie's...
I have seen memes of like somebody recreating that scene of like when Michael goes behind the bush and then he's just like full sprint and going somewhere else just so he doesn't get
Had to
See,
be.
like it,
There was nowhere to
I don't
go.
remember where I've seen it, but it is very amusing.
Oh
Just full
man.
sprint,
Stuff.
going around like a house or something to hide, and then he's all of a sudden somewhere else.
Myers ducking and dodging and hiding behind cars and concrete barriers. Yeah, great stuff. This is where we get our first bits of, we will say, Laurie's repression. Good girl who wants to be a bad girl, as she begins facilitating her friends getting premarital coitus, while she doesn't, and takes the fall for things. They make their plans, continue on. Michael behind the bush, yada yada. Later on, they get ready to go out. I made the comment that every street is Lambkin Lane. I don't care. I'm holding to that because everything looks the same in this. They take a long drive. And this is a long drive because they don't arrive back until nightfall. And it doesn't look like they go anywhere. I can't remember if they say in the film where they're going or what they're doing, but I'm convinced they just drove into town and back for no reason, and ended up right back at the same destination they took off from. Every street is Lambkin Lane. Beyond that, we get the reefer cigarette scene, which also gets answered. I would like to say, Carpenter doesn't leave anything on the table in the script and in the film. Anything he shows, anything he mentions, he comes back on and he explains and he makes comment on. He shows his awareness on, so it's not just any old red herring just thrown out for the sake of being thrown out. He comes back and gives us a little explanation or reason for things. And I like that. That's good. They go into their babysitting thing. I did have a note with Sheriff Brackett not smelling the reefer, and then they comment on him. Laurie arguing he had to have smelled it, and Annie saying he didn't, which, Annie, you're a fool. Sheriff Brackett, I guess you're just a really chill dad. Even if you gave Laurie eyes a little too long for my comfort at one point. Did you have something to add there?
I was just saying, it's one of those classic that clearly wasn't my child smoking. That was the friend smoking.
Right. Obviously, Laurie was smoking reefer. My child wouldn't do that.
It's classic.
But Laurie's a good girl, and I like to look at her a little too long sometimes.
But that was him judging her smoking and not his child smoking.
Yeah. They get back. Laurie tells Annie about seeing someone in her neighbor's backyard. While behind them, Michael is still driving the Smiths Grove Sanitarium car, stalking them down the road. Skip forward, and we find Dr. Loomis. And did I miss something? When did Loomis? Oh no, it was during that scene. It was during the reefer scene. I'm sorry, I went too far ahead. During the reefer scene, Loomis shows up to talk to Sheriff Brackett. And this is the first instance we get of somebody actually listening to Loomis and going along with what he says. So another GG's to Brackett. He's probably the closest thing to a good guy that we have outside of our hero roles. But yes, from there we get into the car, the whole conversation about Brackett knowing they smoked pot, yada yada. Michael gets out of the car, hides behind the tree in the Wallace yard watching Annie. Loomis and Brackett arrive at the abandoned Myers house and search the insides, where they find a partially eaten animal. I think Brackett says it wasn't a cat, or it's not a cat, or something like that. Or it's actually mentioned that a man couldn't eat a dog like that. That's a fun thing, and that's two dogs actually. That's two dogs in this film that get whacked by Myers. Holy shit. I'm a little upset now. I didn't realize that until just this moment. But yeah, so that apparently Michael kills a second dog, or a first dog rather. But this is the kind of big reveal exposition. Loomis gives Brackett the full rundown on Myers. There it is, purely and simply evil. But yes, the big reveal exposition of Myers and who he was, and Loomis's experiences with him over the 15 years. Loomis goes on to ask Brackett to not inform his fellow officers of this and cause a big scene, for fear that it might cause chaos in the streets and unnecessary harm to innocent people. Yeah. Any comments there? I think there's kind of an iconic shot in here, but I didn't take a note of it.
None that I know of with like anything like that.
Right, I did. The only thing I can think is, oh, continue. I'm sorry.
No, it was just them kind of speaking, talking back and forth about like dangerous he is. That's about it.
I was gonna say, I think I completely lost you there for a moment because you went dead silent and came back with "dangerous he is." But I think we got
it was just the doctor and the sheriff just talking back and forth about how dangerous he is.
Right. Like I said, I think just the first dog is something I didn't take notice of. So we're like five humans and 2 dogs. But yes, they're pretty much setting the trap. Loomis is going to stay. He's going to stake out the Myers residence while Brackett goes off to not cause havoc in the streets, but see what information he can gather and check back in. We go back to the Doyle house where Laurie is babysitting, reading King Arthur to Tommy, and all of my notes just went scrolling all the way up. That was intense. Ghosts were haunted. It's reading King Arthur to Tommy. He gets bored, yada yada. Tommy asks Laurie what the boogeyman is, but the phone rings before she can reply. Annie is calling, being Annie. I think it's at this point we are in the scene where Annie is getting ready to go to the laundry room. And this is where we get the mention of Ben Tramer. Tells Laurie that she spoke to Ben Tramer and told him that Laurie was really attracted to him, and Laurie becomes angry and embarrassed because, of course, she would. It's Ben Tramer, who I know nothing about. Continuing ahead, Michael is at the back of the house near the kitchen door, looking in on Annie. Annie's making popcorn, doesn't notice Michael because nobody has peripheral in this film, and complains about Lester the dog being loud and how he hates her. Annie immediately loses more points here with me just for hating on Lester the dog. She ends up spilling a drink on herself, and then we get fan service of Skin, where she begins to strip off her clothes to take them to the outside washer and dryer, which I don't know if we know what the reason for an outside washer or dryer or one that isn't attached to the house is. My theory,
Especially a house in the Midwest where snow.
yeah, where it's cold and sucks when it's cold. Yeah, I like I said, I don't know if that was for maybe a reason of like keeping the house free of mildew. Maybe there wasn't proper ventilation or something in the house for this stuff. I don't know, but interesting stuff. Takes her clothes out to wash, dry, yada yada, and ends up getting herself stuck. Right now, we are at a long shirt, no pants portion of this film, and I must say I approve. I love long shirt, no pants. It's one of my favorite ways to just mellow. And we get some more scampiness from Myers here. We get some more little mischief making from him, where he somehow manages to slam and lock the door from the outside, which I think that happens a couple times in this film, and I don't understand. And we get the fan service of Annie stuck in a window, and a just full face panty shot. As she screams to be rescued by the small, inattentive child. By the way, F the kids in this film.
Well, I know one thing that is when she's in the laundry room, the door and then somehow she cannot open it from the inside, gets stuck in the window, ass in the air, foot stuck in the shelf. The little girl comes and opens the door easily.
Yeah, I'm wondering how it was locked from the outside. How we have these external issues. Maybe that's just the way doors were, like garden doors were built. I don't know. But it's a weird thing. Don't know how it happened. Don't actually see Michael pull the door and lock it or jam it. So more magic from Mikey. But yes, we get the fan service from that. Annie is rescued, and by rescued I mean the door is opened and somehow she gets herself unstuck.
Lindsay helps her with that.
Lindsay does help her with that.
Yeah.
And she gets to talk to Paul, her boyfriend, finally, who we don't see Paul at all throughout this movie.
Pretty sure to this day he's still waiting to be picked up by Annie.
Right? Like he's still waiting. Still holding on to hope. That Annie's gonna come and get him. But we get the phone call with Paul confirming Annie is about to dip out because she got to go get her boy toy, and then reconvene with the smutty couple, Bob and Linda. But she's not going to make it. We no pants, long shirt our way across the street as we drop Lindsay off to be sat by Lori along with Tommy. And Lori, being the champ she is, continues to facilitate her friends in premarital coitus by taking on their burdens. Unfortunately, Annie's not going to make it to pick up Paul because she makes it back over to the house and is preparing to leave, realizes that she is locked out of the car, goes back into the house to get the keys, gets the keys, comes back, gets in the car, does not have the realization that she had to go in the house to get the keys to get in the car until it's too late. Here we get pretty solid kill. I know you had commentary on the kills of the film, and just the audio choices with that. And this is the first demonstration of this. Continue.
It was just normally like, you know, you get a scene like that, you get like other sound effects and maybe like music or something in the background, some kind of horror like music or background noise or whatever, but it's literally just her struggling and him breathing hard, choking her until she,
until she goes cross-eyed.
And I just thought that was, because you don't really see that in movies at all.
My note here is excited murder breathing, wild laser noise, Annie goes cross-eyed. I don't actually remember the laser noise that happens during this part, and I don't know why it's there. There were audio choices made in this movie. I do love the silence and just the struggle sound. It is very effective, but Mikey has some very heavy, horny murder breathing that I made. This is the first time I've ever noticed it. This is the first watch I've ever noticed it, or that I recall noticing it. But that stuck with me for the rest of the film. Confessing, cards on the table. That breathing stuck with me. Might haunt me a little bit. But yeah, she is strangled out in the car, goes cross-eyed. First instance of cross-eyed corpse in the film, and I love that artistic choice for the actors. I thank them so much for that. Back to the kids in the house. They're watching television. Tommy decides to hide behind a curtain. He's going to get the jump on Lindsay and really spook her up good. When he looks out the window and sees Michael, in one of the few times we see Michael actually walking, carrying Annie's body around the front of the house and up and through the front door. This sets Tommy into a panic attack where he also traumatizes Lindsay in the process. And Laurie has to calm them both down. Meanwhile, Loomis is still staked out at the Myers residence, waiting behind a bush while these children come up and are performing a little dare of, you won't touch the house, you won't go up to it, yada yada. and proceeds to give them a good spookin', because I think a line in the early parts of the film from Brackett to Laurie, everyone deserves one good scare on Halloween. Paraphrasing. So that, I would say, is Loomis's one good scare, and that makes me happy because, man, fuck kids. I appreciate seeing them get messed with. Beyond that, Brackett shows up. He's annoyed, of course. He doesn't want to be out all night looking for this boogeyman that may or may not even be there. There's no evidence of it as far as he's concerned, and he's listened to Loomis's bullshit long enough. But he relents, continues on the case, lets Loomis do what he's got to do. But this is also the point where the second person in the film blames Loomis for letting Michael escape, which, as we determined, is a big not true.
I don't even think he worked at the facility that was holding Michael Myers, but
Right. He might have been Myers' doctor, but he wasn't there at the time. Shit happens. But he relents. He's going to keep going along with it. Back at the Wallace house, Linda and Bob arrive. And they're already drinking in the van and doing their teenage sin fun. But they arrive to an empty house because, oh, goodness, Annie's not here. And everybody thinks Annie went to pick up Paul. Except, I guess, little Tommy, who did witness Mikey carrying her indoors. They get inside. They make a phone call. Hey, Laurie, where's Annie? They assume they're getting she's getting Paul. And they immediately decide the best course of action is to make out on the couch, and then proceed to go upstairs for the sex. Because we don't worry about our friends. We have no concerns. Laurie is showing a little concern at this point, but they go up. They're having their coitus time. Linda is sassy. Bob is a Chad. Apparently, it's the greatest sex of her life. Cigarettes are lit, and she asks, "You're not going to get me a beer?" He goes and gets her a beer, which leads us to possibly the best kill of the film.
it is definitely my favorite of the film.
Well, we'll get to that. But Bob's death, caught by Myers, lifted from his feet, pinned to a wall, choked out, and pierced through. It looks a little low in the chest, but pierced through the torso and pinned to the wall with that big, beautiful butcher's knife. That is signature to Myers. Myers begins more mischief because he's a clown. He's a clown. The clown in the beginning is a great representation because that's Myers. Dons a sheet with holes that I am assuming, cut out himself, and puts on Bob's glasses.
Everybody has bed sheets with eye holes cut out, so I'm assuming he did it.
He did a little arts and crafts in the side. I don't know where he found the time or the scissors.
I mean, the institution taught him how to drive and how to make, a ghost costume out of bed sheets.
If that's all he learned it well. Immaculate ghost sheet. Appears in the doorway for Linda. Linda assumed it was Bob because he is wearing Bob's glasses. Very clever trick, Michael. Linda begins giving him sass. He is very unresponsive, and she's not happy about this. So Linda goes ahead and makes a phone call, making a mistake in turning her back on Myers. Makes a phone call to Laurie, but before she can get a word out, Myers is behind her, the phone cord around her neck, and strangely sexual choking coming out of her over the phone, which is the initial impression that our dear Laurie Strode gets, until the life finally bangs out of her, and Laurie realizes there's something wrong. This leads to bad white girl idea in horror film, number one for Laurie, I would say. Aside from failed to mention, did not tell anybody about Myers stalking her over the course of this whole time. even though she had seen him 3 or 4 times by this point. She makes her first mistake of deciding to go check on Bob and Linda, and I guess Annie as well. And this is where we get just the really big grand reveal. Entering the dark house, making her way upstairs, entering into the bedroom, and there lies Annie on the bed, sprawled out with Judith Myers' tombstone above her head. I completely missed the part where Myers steals the tombstone. We discover that it's been stolen. But I have in my notes that he is a dedicated MFer because he dragged that tombstone from the graveyard along with him on his whole journey to eventually set it up in this house. Laurie freaks out. Bob's body swings down from above the door frame. What was that?
The body placements that he does is just immaculate.
I know it's chef's kiss.
He really puts on the show for the audience.
Yeah, he made an effort for this scene. Like I said, this is like the grand reveal. He made an effort. He sprawled out the body, put the tombstone. I don't know how he hid Bob's body against the ceiling with the drop down timing, but that was perfect. And then Laurie crashes back against the wall. The bureau, dresser, cabinet. The cabinet drawer door opens, further revealing Linda's body stuffed inside. And this is our first official meeting of Laurie and Michael. She's attempting to leave after seeing this horrid scene. Backs into the wall, and out of the darkened room, Michael steps out behind her. Walking forward, she's standing against the balcony, and Michael brings his knife down, cutting into her blouse. I don't believe personally hit her. The small scratch on her arm, it might have been a little nick. You never know, but not a big problem. I don't know if it was enough to constitute her falling over the railing, but also she lived.
The sheer shock threw her over the railing.
The shock.
Down the stairs.
To which she
and somehow getting up with just like a sprained ankle.
Exactly. To which she gets up and runs it off on nothing but a sprained ankle. Highly impressive. She must be a fucking Terminator or something on top of it. I don't know. Maybe we'll get that in the next reboot that happens in another 20 years or something. But yes, Laurie falls over the banister, tumbles down the stairs, gets up and runs with barely a sprained ankle, and finds herself trapped in a room of Michael's devising. We also had questions of how he got the door blocked, then got inside, and then movie magic.
My only conclusion was he did that from the out to put the rake on the door, on the back door, and then went through the front door and then locked the front door. Even though Laurie tried to go door, the lock's on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've never been in that situation.
I've never had a magic fucking house. What do I know? She eventually, Michael punches through the door like a Kyle with too much monster in his system. Being a very big, scary, intimidating man, unlocks the door and lets himself in. It is only in this moment that Laurie realizes, hey, this is a weak and primarily made of glass door in front of me. Why don't I punch it out and let myself out? Not gonna lie, sister.
Very good.
What's
5 to 10 minutes with.
Yeah.
After struggling for a good 5 to 10 minutes with the door, realizes, hey, I can just punch through it, move the rake, and open the door.
Would have been my first thought, just kick the door out. Those doors are weak, man. Anybody will tell you those doors are weak. Aside from breaking the glass, you could probably just kick it in the middle and bust it open. But it took her long enough, but she gets out, runs through the neighborhood, and I have a note here for bad neighbors.
This is why people were taught to scrape fire and not help.
Yeah, exactly. This is a scream fire situation. I'm not sure, but just real bad neighbors. You've got a clearly disheveled young woman from the neighborhood. She's clearly known. I mean, her father is like a big real estate, guy. You know who Laurie Strode is. You know who the friggin' Strodes are. They're the guys who put in the neighborhood block party, little barbecues, yada yada, whatever. Like fuck you guys.
Just not coming up with.
What's that?
Theory I'm just not coming up with. The neighbors were screwed by Mr. Strode on the house deal.
Maybe
Just
he
saying.
maybe he
Running
fucking
theory.
yeah.
You're saying screw that kid. Her dad screwed us.
Her dad's a dick.
Screw that kid.
But yes, they look out the window, close the blinds, I think turn off the lights, but pretty much just a massive fu to a teenager in despair. Gotta love it, I guess. And she continues running, making it back to the Doyles, banging on the door. And this is the point where you pointed out to me, because you had to pause for a moment to let me catch up or whatever. And banging on the door that has no knob on the exterior. It's just a flat, like bronze, copper, whatever paneling, backing. And then the knob is like a little twist lock on the inside. It was a very cheaply made strange door, and I don't understand, and I don't know that I want to. I'm not sure what dynamics or physics they're working with here. But weird door. Tommy's an idiot, of course.
Like you're not all there when you're first waking up, especially to a potted plant being smashed against your window.
Smashed against the window for sure. Which, surprised that didn't break the window, but good going. Good toss. Good. I don't know if I could have gotten the potted plant that high. We get the iconic slow walk here while she turns around and looks back at Michael, coming across the yard, moving towards the street, and coming across the street. But the iconic Michael slow walk, how he appears out of nowhere, it's supernatural. Only explanation. Or just running really fast when you're not looking. But yeah, she locks the door, orders Tommy upstairs, turns out the lights. Notices a window is open. So she's terrified. She's crouched down, hiding in front of the couch. Michael pops out. I love the way this leads to the first wounding of Michael. She stabs him in the neck with the knitting needle. I love the way he just collapses out of the scene behind the couch. It's a very exaggerated kind of dead weight collapse, but it happens really fast. I found that kind of funny. She looks over at him. She thinks he's dead. Laurie drops the knife. She goes to check on the kids. She thinks he's dead. Weird thing, she stabbed him in the neck with a knitting needle. And we think we determined, maybe she didn't know what she was dealing with per se, but I'd still be a little more wary of that situation. She gets upstairs, kids come out, she's comforting them. She tells them that he is dead. What's that?
As Mikey's walking up the stairs.
Yes. As she's telling Tommy that he's dead, you can't kill the boogeyman. Michael is there behind her. She shoves the kids back down the hall, shoves them into a room, runs into a room herself, and we get the classic Laurie in the closet terror. She tries to trick him by opening a window, and then runs to hide in the closet and ties it off from the inside, which to me is maybe a giveaway when Mikey walks by and shakes the door, grabs the door, and tries to open it, and there's no give. She may have gave herself away with that one. Maybe if she'd tucked back in the corner and left that loose, he might have opened it and been like, oh, there's nobody here. Or maybe not. Either way, Mikey comes through the doors because I'm not entirely sure why she thought those slide panel closet doors were going to protect her with the thin balsa wood that they're made of, but Mikey comes through it, and in desperation, Laurie jabs him in the eye with a clothes hanger, which is probably one of the parts of this film that gave me the most like ick and cringe. I don't like things going into eyes. And even though you don't really see anything and it's kind of in the dark and whatnot, I still kind of felt that. I don't have any more notes leading up to this point. Was there anything you wanted to add leading up to this point as we are coming towards the closeout, the wrap up of the film?
Not really. Just that was kind of the climax of the movie. She stabs him in the eye with the clothes hanger, then takes his knife, gets him I believe in the gut with his own knife. And then again, he collapses like he does behind the couch. She's like, "Oh, hey, it's over." It's never is.
Makes the same mistake twice. Within like 15 minutes of it, makes the same mistake twice.
That's when she gets the kids out of the room, tells them to, go out and get help, and then that's when the kids run out frantically screaming.
Note on that.
And runs in.
I just wrote these fucking kids.
Runs into Dr. Loomis, and he comes in and
sends Loomis to save the day. Yes, okay. So Laurie is slumping against the doorway. Myers is thought to be dead on the ground after being impaled in the gut. Laurie gets all this sexual frustration out by penetrating a man with several phallic instruments. But Michael is not dead. Laurie stands up to leave the room when Michael grabs her by the neck and begins to strangle her. In the struggle, she pulls off his mask, revealing his face. This is when Loomis appears and immediately shoots Michael repeatedly with his revolver, knocking him back each time until he falls over the balcony. Laurie is here, traumatized now. Loomis follows and checks him laying over the side. We can see that Mikey is on the ground. Loomis turns back, tells Laurie it was the boogeyman. Confirms. We get the line, Laurie saying it was the boogeyman, and Loomis replying, as a matter of fact, it was. He glances back down, and big reveal, Michael is not there. Laurie realizes, by the look on Loomis's face, that Michael has skedaddled once more, and begins crying. The film ends with a shot of the Myers house, and my note on that is I love the kind of just screenshot exit of the house from the room, down the stairs, out the door, the framing of the house, and then the
breathing on top of it.
Yeah, the breathing on top of it as it, these snapshot frames panning back to look down on the house. Fantastic way to end. Absolutely fucking love the ending and the way that they did it. And the leave off of knowing that Myers is still out there. Great job with the film. Love this movie. Goofy stuff. I did miss some stuff in this, and for that I apologize. Feel free to hit us up at on our socials or in the email to tell me that I'm an idiot and I completely missed the whole taking the tombstone part and a few other things. That's fine. I already know. But beyond that, yeah, that is the movie. That is Halloween. That was one of the greats, one of the faves. I was happy to revisit it. I think the last time I had seen it before this was probably mid last year, so relatively recently.
So I usually watch it every Halloween.
Right. Yeah, no, understandable. I don't, but I have. Like I said, I was introducing my partner to the classics, so we watched Halloween and Children of the Corn and yada yada and yada yada yada. So yeah, I've watched it relatively recently before our viewing yesterday. But yeah, any final notes or anything else you have to say about the film, or do we want to go into talking about our favorite kills? The number of kills, our favorite kills, the most unnecessary kills in the instant reslay section, as it is called for the moment.
Saying that when the Bob kill scene was definitely one of my favorites of him just opening the door, he just pops out, grabs him by the neck, sticks the knife through him, and he literally just stays there like what, a good 6-7 inches off the ground with just a normal kitchen knife.
Something that physically should not be possible, but it looks
exactly
pretty damn cool.
pretty rad.
It is very effectual. Well, let's see. We had 5 kills, 5 human kills in this, and 2 dogs. 1 dog that we didn't see because he didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't Lester that he ate. I don't think. Right? That came before Lester.
That was before.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 dogs, 5 humans. I will go ahead and say it's hard for me to choose a favorite kill. We can't count the mechanic because we didn't see him. But he does count towards the body count. Really. Bob is, Bob's the best, I think. But I also like Linda's death. I think it was very effectual. Again, the use of the sound, or the lack thereof, just relying on the effects of the struggle, was really great. And the way it was played off for the scene to initially lead Lori to think it was Annie playing a prank and getting railed on the other end of the phone. I really like that one. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Bob as well. Bob was the most effectual death in the film. The least necessary death in the film, I'm going to say, both the fucking dogs. Nameless Dog and Lester the German Shepherd. Lester didn't deserve it. I'm real upset.
You know how I feel about dogs, and as soon as a dog is, dying in the movie,
Right.
already bad guy,
Right. Michael,
bad guy.
I don't like you anymore, Michael. You done ruined it. You fucked up. No, fuck Annie too. Annie talking down and being mean about Lester, and then when Lester whines, she doesn't even check. That bitch. Yes, I'm gonna say Lester the dog was the most unnecessary murder of the film, and I don't care if it was to demonstrate the depths of Michael's evil. Yeah. So I would have taken out Lester. Lester was unnecessary. We're not happy. Bob was the best. I love it. And I think just in general, the grand reveal of the Judith Myers shrine and the 3 corpses is probably, maybe possibly the best scene of the film as far as it goes. Do you have a favorite scene?
I think it's the scene leading up to Linda's death is when he's just standing in the doorway with the sheet. You see his glass. I don't know. It's just how the door just swings open. He's just standing there, and she thinks it. Obviously she thinks it's Bob, and he just stands there. I don't know. There's just something about that.
I love that. It's great.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I like it. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Well, other than that, I'm going to lose my mind if I didn't close it out, but I definitely closed it out. All right. I was gonna say, if I did this whole episode with reverb, I'm going to cry. But yeah. I think that is about the long and short of it. I think that's my favorite scene, the big reveal. If that's not my favorite, it is a close second to, like I said, the beginning, the pan out with young Michael and his parents on the sidewalk. I feel like that scene is like super effectual. So I know it's kind of a toss up between the two. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I've got. I can look at my notes again, but I think that's all I've got. Oh, I guess I did have one more. Just the end credits, the score coming in, leading up with the snapshots of the interior leading outside the house when the score kicks in. Like, that's amazing. And then follows through to the credits. That was my last note. Yeah, I think that's all I've got.
And then end with it.
Right. Beautiful use. That's all you've got? Yes, we can call this a wrap on episode 1. Yeah.
And then just putting it out there, next episode will be one of our personal favorites, Killer Clown Outer Space.
Yes, Killer Clowns from Outer
And,
Space.
Yes.
Looking forward.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen that movie. I can't even tell you the last time. I honestly cannot wait to watch it again.
Yeah, for sure. Like that, I definitely cannot wait to revisit that one. Because that's definitely campy, kitschy, B-rate horror, or quintessential B-rate horror, 80s B-rate at that. And an amazing staple of the classic VHS horror of yesteryear. So yeah, this episode will be out on Monday. The 5th, 6th, 6th. Are we in March? May? We're in May. I don't know where we are, guys. I've lost track of all time since the beginning of the year. Yes, but May 6th, that should be when the episode's out. And yeah, then Killer Clowns, we with scheduling, I guess we can do some quick housekeeping. With scheduling, I think we're going to do a release every 2 weeks. That way I don't feel completely slogged while doing any scripting or anything. But in between that, I'm going to try to upload some light, short horror literature reading in the form of some supplementary Sleepcast episodes. We'll see how that goes. But beyond that, yeah, the next one will be out 2 weeks from Monday, barring any unforeseeable interruptions from the universe. Yeah, but with that, thank you so much for joining us today at the Hobbesy Horror Screamcast Bros. We greatly appreciate it. Again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or corrections you'd like to make to us, you can hit us up on our socials. We are at Hobbesy Horror across the board on most socials. I believe IG, Blue Sky, and Twitch/X. Or you can email the podcast at hobbesyhorror@gmail.com. Beyond that, yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care and bye.